Kings 2, Part 2. Gehazi's greed and punishment. So accept now a present, but he said, As the Lord lives before whom I stand, I will receive none. Then the man said, If not, please let there be given to your servant 2 mules load of earth, for from now on your servant will not offer burnt offerings or sacrifice to any god but the Lord. He said to him, Go in peace. But when the man had gone from him a short distance, Gehazi, the servant of Elijah, the man of God, said, I will run after him and get something from him. Where have you been, Gehazi? Was it a time to accept money and garments? Therefore the leprosy of Naaman shall cling to you and to your descendants forever. So he went out from his presence a leper like snow. The axe had recovered. But as one was felling a log, his axe head fell into the water. Then the man of God said, Where did it fall? When he showed him the place, he cut off a stick and threw it in there and made the iron float. Elijah, horses and chariots of fire. Elijah tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom. And he said, Go and seize him. Behold, an army with horses and chariots was all around the city. And the servant said, What shall we do? And then Elijah prayed and said, O Lord, please open his eyes that he may see. So the Lord opened the eyes of the young man. The mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elijah. Elijah prayed to the Lord and said, Please strike this people with blindness. And Elijah said to them, This is not the way, and this is not the city. Follow me, and I will bring you to the man whom you seek. And led them to Samaria. Elijah said, O Lord, open the eyes of these men. As soon as the king of Israel saw them, he said to Elijah, Shall I strike them down? He answered, You shall not strike them down. Would you strike down those who you have taken captive? Set bread and water before them. So he prepared for them a great feast, and they went to their master. And the Syrians did not come again on raids into the land of Israel. Ben-Hadad's siege of Samaria. Afterward, Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, besieged Samaria, and there was a great famine in Samaria. Now, as the king of Israel was passing by, a woman cried to him, What is your trouble? She answered, This woman said to me, Give your son that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So we boiled my son and ate him, but she has hidden her son. When the king heard these words, he tore his clothes and said, May God do so to me and more if the head of Elijah remains on his shoulders today. Elijah was sitting in his house, but before the messengers arrived, Elijah said to the elders, Do you see how this murderer has sent to take off my head? Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door and hold fast against him. And while he was still speaking, the messenger came down to him and said, This trouble is from the Lord. Why should I wait for the Lord any longer? Elijah promises food. But Elijah said, Hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord, Tomorrow about this time a seah of fine flour shall be sold for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel. Then the captain said, If the Lord himself should make windows in heaven, could this thing be? But he said, You shall see with your own eyes, but you shall not eat of it. The Syrians flee. Now there were 4 men who were lepers at the entrance to the gate. Why are we sitting here until we die? So now, come, let us go over to the camp of the Syrians. If they spare our lives, we shall live, and if they kill us, we shall but die. Behold, there was no one there, for the Lord has made the army of the Syrians hear the sound of chariots and of horses, so that they said to one another, Behold, the king of Israel has hired against us the king of the Hittites and the kings of Egypt to come against us. So they fled. And when these lepers came to the edge of the camp, they went into a tent and ate and drank, and they carried off silver and gold. Then they said to one another, If we are silent, punishment will overtake us. So they came and called to the gatekeepers of the city and told them. Then the gatekeepers called out, and it was told with within the king's household. So they took 2 horsemen, and the king sent them after the army. Go and see. And the messengers returned and told the king. Then the people went out and plundered the camp of the Syrians. So a seah of fine flour was sold for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel, according to the word of the Lord. Now the king had appointed the captain on whose hand he leaned to have charge of the gate. And the people trampled him in the gate, so that he died, as the man of God had said. The Shunammite's land restored. Now Elijah said to the woman whose son he had restored to life, Arise and depart wherever you can. The Lord has called for a famine for 7 years. She went with her household and sojourned in the land of the Philistines 7 years. At the end of 7 years, she went to appeal to the king for her house and her land. So the king appointed an official for her, saying, Restore all that was hers. Hazael murders Ben-Hadad. Now Elijah came to Damascus. Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, was sick. The king said to Hazael, Take a present with you, and inquire of the Lord through him, saying, Shall I recover from the sickness? And Elijah said to him, Go, say to him, You shall certainly recover, but the Lord has shown me that he shall certainly die. And he fixed his gaze and stared at him until he was embarrassed. And the man of God wept, and Hazael said, Why does my Lord weep? He answered, Because I know the evil that you will do to the people of Israel. Then he departed from Elijah and came to his master. What did Elijah say to you? He told him that you would certainly recover. But the next day he took the bedcloth and dipped it in water and spread it over his face till he died, and Hazael became king in his place. Jehoram reigns in Judah. In the 5th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, when Jehoshaphat was king of Judah, Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 32 years old when he became king, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem. And he walked in the way of the kings of Israel, as the house of Ahab had done. For the daughter of Ahab was his wife, and he did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. Yet the Lord was not willing to destroy Judah for the sake of David his servant, since he promised to give a lamp to him and to his sons forever. In his days, Edom revolted from the rule of Judah and set up a king of their own. Then Libnah revolted at the same time. So Joram slept with his fathers, and Ahaziah his son reigned in his place. Ahaziah reigns in Judah. In the 12th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, Ahaziah the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, began to reign. Ahaziah was 22 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. And he did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. Jehu anointed king of Israel. Then Elijah the prophet called one of the sons of the prophets and said to him, Take this flask of oil. Look therefore, Jehu the son of Jehoshaphat, and say, Thus says the Lord, I anoint you king over Israel. And the young man poured the oil on his head, saying to him, Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, I anoint you king over the people of the Lord, over Israel. And you shall strike down the house of Ahab your master. When Jehu came out to the servants of his master, they said to him, Is all well? Why did this mad fellow come to you? Then in haste every man of them took his garment and put it under him on the bare steps, and they blew the trumpet and proclaimed, Jehu is king. Jehu assassinates Joram and Ahaziah. Thus Jehu conspired against Joram. But King Joram had returned to be healed in Jezreel, when he fought with Hazael king of Syria. Then Jehu mounted his chariot and went to Jezreel, for Joram lay there, and Ahaziah king of Judah had come down to visit Joram. Joram said, Make ready, and they made ready his chariot. Then Joram king of Israel and Ahaziah king of Judah set out and went to meet Jehu. He said, Is it peace, Jehu? He answered, What peace can there be, so long as the whorings and the sorcerers of your mother Jezebel are so many? Then Jehoram reigned about and fled, saying to Ahaziah, treachery. And Jehu drew his bow with his full strength and shot Joram between the shoulders, so that the arrow pierced his heart and sank into his chariot. And he sank in his chariot. Jehu said to Bidkar, his aide, take him up and throw him on the plot of ground belonging to Naboth the Jezreelite. For remember, when you and I rode side by side behind Ahab his father, how the Lord made this pronouncement against him. As surely as I saw yesterday the blood of Naboth and the blood of his sons, declares the Lord, I will repay you on this plot of ground. Now therefore take him up and throw him on the plot of ground, in accordance with the word of the Lord. When Ahaziah the king of Judah saw this, he fled, and Jehu pursued him, and they shot him, and he fled to Megiddo and died there. In the 11th year of Joram the son of Ahab, Ahaziah began to reign over Judah.